Syndicate.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Sun Belt Syndicate. If you're joining us on X, we are trying this out in portrait mode, so we'll see how that rolls tonight. With you from the first kick to the last pitch before we get rolling along too far. Shout out to our sponsors, Don't Sleep Energy. Been hitting them up lately for some lack of sleep. Been also Phenom Elite, available at your local Dick's Sporting Goods as well as online. But speaking of first kick, Marshall is the last true, as far as I'm concerned, Sun Belt team in the men's soccer championship. Okay, we've got them taking on West Virginia right now. It's currently 2-1. I've got that rolling in the background. They took a 1-0 early lead. Now it's 2-1. I missed in between. But that is big because Marshall made it all the way to the national championship last year. So we'll see if they can go on a run again. For those unfamiliar, in men's soccer, we also have West Virginia, Kentucky, and UCF as part of our conference. And those are the four teams that are left. So Marshall, the only full-time member left. I'm going to roll with the Thundering Herd just because, right? Like, they got a good fan base. They have a lot of fun with that. So I'd like to see them get back down here right in our backyard, TJ. Cary, North Carolina is where the national championship is held.
How about that? That's awesome. If they do get there, I'd like to take my son and check him out because he loves soccer, man. He plays soccer almost every single day. So it'd be nice to have that here.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. I will say it's usually about the middle of December. It's pretty darn cold, but
he does not care about weather at all.
Well, there you go.
It's like he's impervious to any kind of weather. So who knows?
Nice. He's got his Boone blanket on already, huh?
Yeah. I had to make him put a jacket on this afternoon when we were outside playing soccer. I was like, bro, you gotta put a coat on. Dad, I'm sweating. I understand that. That's how you get pneumonia.
Yeah. Oh man, is he the type of kid that like is coming downstairs in shorts when it's 30 degrees and you're like, dude, go put on pants?
He will. He absolutely will if we let him. 100%.
Oh man, you gotta love it. My son just did that this morning. My wife goes, I just told you to put a sweatshirt on for school, so why did you come down here in shorts and a t-shirt?
Right.
So yeah, but you can't do much about it, man. They love to do that. They always talk about how they're too hot or warm.
Right.
But yeah, we are glad that you are with us tonight. Ben already checked in saying what's up and Wolves up, as his usual tagline goes. Yeah, it's getting a little bit colder around here for sure. Like you said, TJ, I'm almost to the point where I'm expecting a little frost on a windshield sometime, but haven't quite been that cold just yet.
No, not yet, but it's gonna get there. I feel like. Well, but the weird thing is it was like 47 yesterday or the day before yesterday. Yesterday, I think it was, and then it was like 60 today. I'm like, what's happening?
True. Yeah. And it was really cold this morning, like before the sun rose, and as the sun came up, it was a little warmer, and then it wasn't as windy. But
right,
man, it's football weather, that's for sure. And TJ, you're all too familiar with how that feels up there on the mountain with the wind.
Yeah, it was cold would be an understatement. I think I don't know if I told you this or I was telling somebody else. My freshman year, right before the season started, it was during camp. I called my mom and asked her if I could come home because it was too cold. I didn't want to be there anymore. And I was like, well, ECU had already offered me a scholarship. Can I just go play at ECU? And she was like, that's not how scholarships work. I'm sure someone else has the scholarship now. Yeah, I was ready to, I was crying. I was in my dorm room crying because it was too cold. I'm from the beach. I was not prepared for that.
Yeah.
But it worked out.
I would say it worked out pretty well. A couple national championships, a monumental victory. Yeah, I think you made the right choice to stick with it.
Yeah.
Shout out to Omar. Says he's our first subscriber. I have no way to fact check that, so I'm just going to agree with him and say that's awesome, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Jumped on early, and now he's back and making a comment. It's awesome. And Ben is going to a triple header Saturday. Apparently, A-State has volleyball, women's basketball, and men's basketball. So that is quite the slate there for the home Red Wolves crowd. And we'll talk about this crowd a little bit later today. But let's jump into the show. This is the Week 12 preview for the Sun Belt. A little shout out to JC French and his good game against App State last week. But before we roll along too far, let's talk about this playbook as we're going to run through it tonight. So we'll take a look at the teams that were looking good throughout last week going into this week's action. TJ's segment, come on, bro. Or maybe in this case, just game of the week. Hint, hint, wink, wink. The teams that better win this week, the games that will round out this week's slate, and then, of course, we'll get into best bets. Lots to talk about, a little bit about last week, a lot about this week. Get right into it. I think I've got the sound on for this part, so I'll try and see if I can turn that on. I can't, but this video courtesy of you don't get the you're not getting the sound?
No, I said we get the picture. Even with the sound.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
This was nuts.
But this is the little scuffle. I posted up a video from the App State Coastal thing where I called it a brawl. It wasn't a brawl, obviously. There's a lot of people involved. Didn't really know how else to describe it. This one's a true brawl. There was little bit of fighting going on. I wish I could turn the sound off on that. You said you were getting the sound to come through on that?
Yeah, we did get the sound to come through. However, again, the point was made. There were some punches thrown. Yeah. This one was. I saw it and I was like, "Oh, this is happening. This is going on right now." It was a bad move.
Yeah. It started before the final whistle. Texas State knew they were going to remain winless. We'll talk about that in a minute against the Cajuns before exiting the conference, as we know they're about to do. And it didn't get any cleaner. And unfortunately, I believe the way that Cajun Field works is both teams kind of exit through the same spot, right? It's not like, hey, you go over there, we go over here. Nice, easy exit. We can get everybody away from each other. So they were already kind of heading towards the same spot. Some of them were shaking hands in a good way. A lot of them were trying to get to one another. And we've got a number of suspensions, most notably Tyrese Skipper, who's one of the best defenders in this conference. And he could see maybe we can, I don't know how obnoxious it is to run it again, but he's got his helmet in his hand and he hits at least one, if not two Texas State players with his helmet. To note, I think this is something to talk about for this. The players he hit with the helmet also had their helmets on. So it wasn't a helmetless player, but using the helmet as a weapon. TJ, I want to get your thoughts. Obviously, former player, everything that you've been involved in these situations where these guys are so close, probably some scuffles and whatnot after games. The helmet thing has become a little bit more prevalent. We saw Santana Hopper do it in a practice against his own teammate, but that kid was helmetless that he hit. This one was a little different. Also, before you see that portion of the video happen, it's apparently thought that Skipper was provoked into this action, right? Like he wasn't just standing there and started to hit somebody with the helmet. He was either punched, pushed, shoved. I don't know exactly. You can't quite see that on the film unless it's from a different angle than this one specifically here. But you can see his retaliatory action and subsequent suspension for the remainder of the season. One, do you agree with that? And they do stuff like this for the league. Would you like to see an explanation come from the league as well as just the number of games?
Yeah, so a couple things. It's not unlike anything I've ever seen, right? Like I've seen, been a part of, not necessarily the one swinging the helmet, but certainly have been on the field when helmets were swung. I've seen it in the NFL, most notably defensive end for Browns, Mason Rudolph. That was one of I think Garrett. And it happened when I was in Boone at practice. I won't say the player's name. Nobody was hit, nobody was injured, but there were helmets swung. Now to the second half of your question, which is the suspension part. Remainder of the season is tough.
Yeah,
because we're not just it's not just a few games left potentially. Like you've got the opportunity to go play a bowl game, right? You've got the opportunity to go do some good and fun stuff. I I struggle with that decision because I think in a moment of let me rewind. There should absolutely be punishment for what happened, right? You can't
Right.
go unpunished, right? You have to have something. Um, these are kids though, and kids are going to make piss poor decisions at times when it, quite frankly, as an adult, wouldn't require that or that type of response. I think the remainder of the season is rough. I would have said maybe 1 to 2 games. Um, you know, I think too part of the suspension was we can't suspend him based on whether or not the person had the helmet on. We have to act as if he could have injured somebody because he could have. The reality of it is he absolutely could have injured somebody. Somebody could have gotten hurt. That's somebody's child, right? Like somebody's watching that on television and watching their son get hit across the head with a helmet. Somebody's got some explaining to do, and I think part of that went into the decision making. I think again, we can't act as if it would have been different had the kid had a helmet off. We can't, or excuse me, had his helmet on versus having it off. I think all of those things go into the decision-making process. I've never seen it to this extent in terms of, the amount of that many bodies being around.
Right.
But the remainder of the season just seems harsh. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. First of all, I will say this. He was the only one out of all players, apparently, who was suspended for the remainder of this season. So that's where I don't necessarily agree with it. The other portion is I'd like to see this from the different view that can show that he was provoked in some way, right? Was he hit first? What transpired to cause this reaction?
Sure, yeah.
Is it possible that that's a lie and he just swung the helmet? Sure, because technically I haven't seen footage that proves otherwise. But even so, to me, like you said, you almost want to say it's a punishment because you just can't swing a helmet. We're just not going to stand for it. But to me, you also need to show or say that is the reasoning behind this, because otherwise you're saying
deliver some communication. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, this other guy threw a punch. And now you're going to say like that's different than a helmet. Maybe it is, but maybe the punch was thrown to a helmetless player and it connected, and the helmet was hit to another helmet, and yeah, that's not a good thing. But at the same time, like you could make the argument that the protection was there to not make it worse than it was, and you could also probably make the argument that he only did it because they were wearing the helmet. Again, if you're just going to say we're not going to stand for it, it's not going to be tolerated, we're going to say this now and set the precedent going forward. I mean, it's a rough time to do it because you haven't set that precedent, you haven't set that rule previously, but at least you're saying it out loud as well as with the suspension. The other part about this is Skipper was one of the best defenders, not only in this conference, he was in the running for a national award for best defender in the country at the beginning of the season. So this isn't just some also-ran player that you're like, well, we'll just punish him because he's not even going to play that much. No, this is a massively important piece to the defensive unit of the Cajuns that you're also punishing. So this is big time. It's meaningful. Coach Des really was not mixing words when he was describing how he felt about the situation, said it was dirty, it was uncalled for. And then, that doesn't even begin to speak to probably what he wants to say after the suspensions were handed out. Right. I mean, to me, let's be honest, Texas State's on their way out. You could have been really harsh to them, right? Like you started this, we're going to hand out all kinds of punishments. And honestly, you could look at it and say, you're 0-5 in the conference. You're not going to the championship. You're not going to finish up at the top. So we don't really care to help you out. Right. But I don't know. Neil's saying 2 games. I don't disagree with that. I think anybody involved with like a fisticuffs aspect, 1, sure. Okay. If it got worse, 2, it would have to be, to me, it would have to be really, really egregious to get the rest of the season. That's kind of strong there.
Yeah. I think they had to set a first of all, who made the decision is what I need to understand.
True. Is it one or a committee?
Did this, right? Like, where did this decision come from? And if it's bigger than just Sun Belt football, if it came from, a higher up in terms of overall college sports. Because the other thing too is, I don't know, when's the last time we've seen something like this in college football, right? Like, who's had to make a decision like this prior to it? So is it just a reactionary sort of, I don't know, behavior, like, I don't know, shotgun maybe decision? I don't know. It's hard to say because I haven't seen this before. You hadn't seen this before, especially in this conference. And I don't know that. I think they might have I don't want to say overreacted, because again, that's somebody's child. He could have gotten seriously injured.
Right.
I just think that maybe they think about it a little longer before they do a full season or rest of season. But who knows? I'm just some guy.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we've seen players get involved with stuff at bigger programs and seen almost no punishment. And now you've got this that happened on the field with emotions high. Like you said, these are kids still.
Right.
And they're also in the heat of the moment. You can sit there in the stands or on TV and go like, well, that's ridiculous. I can't believe they did that. But you didn't sweat it out for whatever amount of time they played on the field and have your adrenaline rushing like they do either. So I don't think it's fair to assess from a 600-foot view and start telling people like, well, he should have never done that. Well, I mean, they're pumping, man. These guys are modern day warriors. I mentioned of Miami FIU, right? The last time Grambling just got into a total fight. I mean, there was craziness happening this past weekend with them. And was it Southern or was?
I think it was Southern, because that's the rival game.
Yeah, that makes sense. Already jumping in here with a little, everybody was kung fu fighting. They struck with expert timing. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. I can't remember the band or the song for that, but yes, very well known.
Is Artie a father? Because that is dad joke material.
It is. He wants to know, when has the Sun Belt Conference ever been wrong before? Yeah.
Yeah.
Never. Not one time. All right. Well, we will move on from the fighting and the frightening and the kung fu fighting, but we'll take a look at the standings as they sit going into week 12. James Madison, Southern Miss atop each side of the division. As we know, another reminder, as I like to always put out, the two best divisions in all of college football, because they're the only divisions. But yes, we have two top, easily considered favorites because they are undefeated. JMU 8-1 overall, Southern Miss 7-2. But again, we've got, and Marvin and I were talking about this on Sunday's show, got some really intriguing matchups down the stretch, because the two teams that sit just below those favorites get to play each other. Both sides. JMU matches up against Coastal 5-1, right behind them. Southern Miss 5-0 matches up against Troy 4-1, right behind them. So this isn't over yet. There's still a lot of movement that could happen, but yeah, I think as far as the only teams that really have a chance, it's the top two on each side, right, TJ?
Sure. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I do think it's going to be fireworks though when JMU plays Coastal. I think that's going to be a good game to watch. It should be game of the week when it does happen. But JMU right now looks like the cream of the crop, and they've got, we were talking about this via the group text this weekend. They've got a strong chance now, especially with Memphis losing. I think right now USF is occupying that spot. However, it could very much be JMU. And JMU got a lot of love over the weekend as well.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have a slip up for JMU and you go undefeated the rest of the way, there's going to be all kinds of arguments being made for you. Of course, there's going to be some people that argue against you, and the strength of schedule is the biggest aspect of that. And I will agree with anybody who's been saying the Sun Belt is down this year as a whole. We are. I don't think there's really anything you could say against that. We've been far better in years past. It's a tough one for JMU to go through because a lot of people are pointing to the fact they have hardly any wins over teams with winning record. So it is a valid argument, but at the same time, like, you got to win your games. You can only win the ones in front of you. They've done that every time except for once. And that team before last week was a one-loss ranked team nationally, and still a very good team. I mean, I think Louisville lost in overtime, didn't they?
I believe so. I can fact check that for you.
Yeah, I think they did. So we also have a score update for those that are interested. West Virginia has tied it with Marshall 2-2 with about 15 minutes left in regulation. So we'll keep an eye on that as we go along here. Ben saying the A-State and Louisiana rivalry is always chippy with players yelling, etc. It hasn't ever been as bad as that Texas State-Louisiana ending before. Yeah, I mean, look, we love rivalries. We love heated stuff. That was a little bit too far. And obviously we see now why it's not worth doing, because you're going to have guys that are not going to be available for your team moving forward. Warren asked if we had heard anything about the penalties for the other one. I have not seen anything, but I'm not as close to the HBCUs. I don't follow that conference as closely, so I can't say whether something has come out for facts or not on that. And yeah, Signogs, Synogs. I think it's a CI. Maybe it's a CL. He can correct me if I'm wrong here. Suppose he meant more specifically last time a player was suspended for swinging a helmet during a brawl. Not sure what the suspension was there for those players. Well, Skipper was certainly for swinging a helmet, at least because that's what we literally saw. Again, there was no explanation given from the conference other than the game getting out of hand and the suspensions handed out. And I'm with any and everybody who agrees that there should be some type of explanation given when you do hand out punishments like that. Maybe you don't if everybody just gets a one game, right, TJ? Like if you're going to say everyone gets the same, we're just going to say, hey, like none of it was acceptable, but none of it was terrible. Let's just say everyone gets a one game that was involved. Maybe you don't need to explain that.
Right.
But
yeah,
different punishments for different players. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, and to I think we had a question about the Grambling BC game. I just fact checked that or Googled it. Punishment from the Grambling game incident has been levied. There have been 27 players suspended from both Bethune-Cookman and Grambling. Grambling State receiving a $40,000 fine, Bethune-Cookman receiving a $25,000 fine via the SWAC. So that's pretty heavy.
Yeah, that's very heavy. Those any school at the lower than power conference school and you're fining them that much, that's not nothing. That's a big deal. So, yeah, that's heavy. But I mean, that one was worse than this, and I'll agree with anybody who says that, right? Like that was bad. I mean, there was all kinds of people getting involved, and they were swinging full-on punches and like all kinds of crazy. I don't know if the helmet swinging existed there. I can't.
I'm sure somebody swung a helmet.
Probably.
We might not have seen it, but I'm sure it happened.
That's true. Probably could have happened quite easily. I do want to give recognition here. We have some teams already qualified for bowls going into this week. Going into this weekend. 5 teams already assured of a bowl spot. That includes JMU, Southern Miss, no surprise, both those teams undefeated in conference. We also have Troy and ODU, who we'll talk about coming up here shortly, and Coastal Carolina got their victory over Georgia State, the first one in the Georgia State versus Coastal rivalry where the home team won, which is crazy. But that's our list right there for the Sun Belt. You can see, for those of you watching, the rest of the teams across NCAA football that have also already qualified for a bowl game. We're not going to break down the college football thing, playoff thing just yet. I want to assure that we're a little bit closer to that time frame before we get into all the scenarios and what could and couldn't happen. But maybe next week we'll start taking a look at that if things persist the way they are right now. Before we go any further, Neil's got a comment. So where do we stand on the flag planting and waving in players' faces at game's end? I'm not for helmet swinging, but stand your ground. I'm a Christian and a dad, and I get you had 60 minutes to settle it on the field, but dang. Yeah, I mean, we could touch on that because that kind of became what we saw before this one happened, and that one didn't have any suspensions. I didn't think it would have, and I don't think it should have. The flag planting, I think it's kind of silly, especially on a turf field where you literally can't plant it. And I think even on Ohio State, when it was done, like you can't actually plant the flag. So you're just going to slam it down. I mean, it's college. Like those are the things that kind of exist that we don't see at the NFL level. So
sure,
for stuff that's going to happen next year and the fact that you take it as disrespect, I kind of like don't hate it. I do think it could be a little corny. Like it wasn't done immediately after the game with Coastal and App State. It was done like a couple minutes after, right? And there's people all over spread out. But I do agree. Like, yeah, I mean, if it's done right in your face, like that's going to make me mad. Yeah.
100%.
You're just showing off at that point, or you're trying to disrespect me in the place that I play. Like, yeah, I'm not going to stand for that. So yeah. But I don't think like a suspension, right, TJ? I mean, in the moment?
No. That wouldn't deserve a suspension. Waving in somebody's face, that's not going to deserve a suspension. Flag planting. Look, I played college football. We didn't do it back in our time playing. I don't even remember when it became a thing, honestly.
Yeah.
When we were playing, we were beating teams about 30 and 40 points. So they knew from the kickoff that, they weren't going to beat us. But I don't consider it a huge deal. Like you said, it is somewhat corny, right? Because you go to somebody's, field, you beat them, whatever. Let that be enough, right? Like you don't need to. Now, I do get rivalries. Texas, Oklahoma, Michigan, Ohio State. I understand it. If you do it in front of me, I'm not tolerating that. Like I'm not letting you do. I wouldn't do it to your field, but don't do it in like. Come on, like I'm not going to just walk past it and let it slide. I might not punch you in the face, but that flag is not staying there. So there's that part.
What do you feel about the? And we saw this. I saw this. It was actually caught in the video I took of the interactions between Harrington and former App State players. But there was another Georgia Southern player who was sitting there, waving goodbye, like leaning over towards the player that was walking right in front of him, waving goodbye, like, see ya, you lost. I'm the same way that you just said with the flag. Like if I'm doing it, I'm at least like shoving the guy or knocking his hand down or something. Like I'm not just going to take it. I'm not going to swing on him for it, but I ain't going to like it.
It's hard to say what you would do, what I would do in that situation, because I haven't, like I didn't just get finished playing 60 minutes of a football game, right? Like I wasn't on the field sweating for 3.5, 4 hours. So like you said, to your point earlier, adrenaline's high, decision-making is super, super low. So it's hard to say what I would do. I probably would slap his hand, probably would push him. I'm not going to hit him, but get out of my face. That kind of thing.
Right, because that's exactly what he wants. He wants to provoke you to do something stupid. Like that's his whole thing that he's trying to do there. And I agree with Neil. Like I want to see my players, whether I'm a fan, a coach, or a teammate, I want to see them care. Like I want to see that piss you off and affect you. So yeah, do something about it. I come from like, I think I've said it, hockey's one of my favorite sports. I come from a culture in that where like, like you touch the goalie, we're fighting. Like, it's kind of ridiculous, but that's kind of the mode that I've been brought up with. So like, yeah, you disrespect me, it's on immediately. I'm not going to stand for it. So I get what Neil's saying, and I agree with it. Like, I want to see some fire. Like, I want to see you care. And in this age of transfer portal, maybe that's an aspect that we just won't see as much anymore. But, I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to stay on that subject too much longer because I think we did cover it pretty well. So let's jump into the looking good category. Braylon Braxton pictured here after another good week of football from that young man. And we'll talk about Coastal winning 3 straight games. And in those 3 straight games, they've scored 40 or more points each time the offense has come alive after being kind of the scary point and the weak point earlier in the season. It was the defense leading them, the offense getting just enough done or not showing up at all and then getting beat. Now they're kind of firing on all cylinders, and Coastal's pretty hot. JMU is ranked, not in the college football playoffs. They just missed out to USF in that one. They are ranked 24th, I think, right, TJ, in the AP poll, if I'm not mistaken?
Let me take a look. I believe you're right, because I saw it just a little bit ago.
because I think them and USF are in, and I think they're one spot ahead of USF in the AP poll, if I'm not mistaken. There's so many polls now and so many things to keep track of. But while you look at that, Southern Miss has now won 5 straight games. So not only are they the leader and the contender easily in the West, but you're looking at a possibly very, very strong Sun Belt championship matchup if James Madison ends up meeting Southern Miss, because both of these teams are coming in not losing often and not losing recently. But we'll see if that holds true. Do you find those AP?
So they're on one poll. They're ranked on the AP poll. They're ranked 24th. Coaches poll, college football playoff rankings. They're not ranked.
Right.
So, but it's weird though, because on the AP poll, they're ranked 24th, with South Florida being ranked 25th. But then on the college football playoff roll or ranking, South Florida is ranked 24th and Cincinnati is 25. That's weird to me.
Yep. That's because the college football playoff committee is only going to put in one G5 no matter what, even though that's not the rule. There is no standard. 2 group of 5 schools or group of 6 or whatever the hell we're calling it these days can make the college football playoff. And if Duke wins the ACC, it's a lot more realistic. So I kind of hope to see Duke do that just to screw over the ACC, because it sounds like they ain't getting one in if that's what happens. Well, right. I think I guess Duke would get in because they'd win the championship of the ACC.
Right, so conference champion would get absolutely destroyed. It wouldn't even be worth watching.
Yeah, and you think that just the lower schools like our teams would get destroyed. No, there's teams in the big conferences that would also get
100%.
But yeah, Artie's saying, back to the thing, don't start fistfights in your work. Again, though, it's different. When someone argues with you at work, probably not, dripping sweat from physical interaction for almost an hour. So I get it, but I also think that my adrenaline would be going pretty strong for that. And then we have verification that what you saw in those polls was correct. JMU 24th in AP, 25 in coaches poll, not ranked in the CFP, but it sounds like they are probably just outside looking in from what was asked of the committee afterward, because I guess they do take some questions on placements or where some of these teams stand right there. Ben wanted to, remind us that A-State had a chance to win it on the final play against Southern Miss despite the 6 turnovers. And yes, that's true. They did. USM up early, looked like it wasn't going to be much of a game. Yet again, the Red Wolves have to come back, but mounted just short, as he says there. And, seeing a former coach there, he said he was happy to see him return to Jonesboro there. Okay. Now is Ben's least favorite time of the show, because we're going to take the come on, bro section of TJ's favorite saying here and take a look, and we'll see a little bit bigger of a picture here. But, I guess we'll go to this first. We'll cover the teams first. Sorry. Then we'll get to the picture. App State, 3 straight losses. Now, the losses aren't terrible losses as far as the score.
Yeah, but come on, man. Come on.
Yeah. And to note, these 3 straight losses are to teams that, before the season, you probably would have said we could or should beat, as far as you, App fan would think. So, yeah, it's not good. 3 straight. You just can't win the close one, it seems. And you also just haven't been firing on all cylinders in either side of the ball. So it's rough, right, TJ?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not – again, you say the losses aren't bad. They're still losses, and there's 3 of them in a row, right? I don't care if you lose by 5 or 500. A loss is a loss. And the teams that we're losing to and the way that we're losing, it's not – I don't care who you lose to. I care how you lose. And the way that we're losing is absolutely deplorable. We can't stop the run. Well, we can't stop anybody, period. Let's get that out of the way. And we're inaccurate in the pass game. We're so inaccurate. It almost makes us one-dimensional. And so the way that we're playing right now, it'll get better. But right now, it's just not good. Come on, bro.
Yeah, not good at all. Maybe worse than that, if you can get much worse than that. is double the losses. I think that's worse. Georgia State, 6 losses. They have not won since September 13th. Yikes.
Insane.
Yeah. Now, were they supposed to be like a pedestal team or a great team this year? No, not a lot of people expected that. But 6 losses in a row, no wins since September 13th. That's a tough pill to swallow. I don't care where you thought the team was going to finish. That's a rough look at it. Not much better is Artie's team over here, Texas State. 5 losses in a row, and on top of those, you had one last shot to beat kind of a rival in the Cajuns before you left this conference. Not able to do it. So,
yeah,
very rough ending for them in that one, along with the fight.
Yeah, you took 2 losses.
Yeah, exactly. 2 losses there. Not good in that. So now we will get to Ben's favorite part, which is giving his fandom and fan base a hard time for this, let's be honest, absolutely miserable turnout for what was at the time on the line was first place in the West Division. You had the favorite coming in, Southern Miss, undefeated in the conference. But Arkansas State only had 1 loss at that point. Had they beat Southern Miss, they would own the tiebreaker, jump ahead of them, and this is what we got.
Yeah, that's inexcusable. It's deplorable. A stadium that's that nice, and as well as they've been playing, it's really, really inexcusable. It doesn't. For me, if I'm a player, social media is kind of the tool, right? That sort of lights the fire. I'd have a strongly worded Twitter or X, whatever, statement to say about that. I mean, that's bad. And I come from a culture where football is big, right? Like we're in the South, and it should be big in Arkansas. Like it's the South, right? Like but maybe they're not used to winning as often, and maybe that plays a part into it. But a team doing as well as they've been doing this year, they deserve the love. And think about it too, from the kids' perspective, right? You go out there every single time you're at a home game, and sometimes you've got the visiting team bringing more fans than show up for your game. Imagine what that does to you psychologically. It's inexcusable, it's deplorable, and they can do better.
Yeah, and it's just bad, like you said. I mean, you hope and you see something better for the kids, like you said. That's the biggest thing. Like they want to play in front of a packed house, and it doesn't have to be packed all the way out with a sold out crowd, but you have to have some kind of ambiance or something kind of going on to kind of give you that push. Like you've said multiple times, CJ, you even like when they, opposing fans are yelling at you and stuff to kind of pump you up. Warren wants to know what the announced number was, and Ben made a point that this is still before kickoff. These pictures are, so that has to be fair. There will be some more people that had come in that aren't pictured, but even if that's a couple thousand, that ain't feeling anywhere close to that bottom bowl on either side kind of thing. The announced attendance for that game. You ready for this?
Okay, I was going to Google it. I didn't know if you were. I don't know if you had the number.
15,441.
No way. It's not close.
It's not even half that. Not even half that.
What do you mean? That's not even. No, hold on.
Yeah. Yep.
That is nuts.
Yeah. That's the ported. Now, again, tickets sold. We know that all the time. That's what's actually announced. It's not what's actually butts in seats, but it's deplorable to think that you are going to try and tell me that there was anywhere close to 15,000 people in the stands for this game. It was bad. And we didn't even get to the worst part of it. I have another video clip to play us here. I don't think there's really any sound of this. There might be just a little bit. This is Butch Jones coming out of the tunnel as they entered the field, literally with his hands down, saying, "Where are the fans?" Literally saying that out loud because there's so few people in attendance. Went up to his team and said, "You're going to have to bring your own energy. Bring your own energy." That's how bad it is. That courtesy of Jack Allen TV with that shot of him coming out of the tunnel like that. Your head coach is shocked at how few people are in the stands for your game against division leading Southern Miss. That's
Yeah,
bad.
it's insane. So I just did another quick Google. Literally, the first thing that pops up: Arkansas State football coach bullies pathetic crowd for not showing up during deer season. That's the headline. that is the headline. That's nuts.
Seth says, go to the game. Just spotlight the deer. It's a win-win.
Right.
Oh, Artie's got a good one too. Break out the tarps. Rice can get you a deal. I think they still tarp up the whole top part of their stadium. So he says 100K in attendance. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, and Sam bringing up the same thing. Like, yeah, attendance versus tickets sold. I'm not even sure they sold 15,000 tickets because I would assume that if they sold that many, at least half that amount of people would be in the stands. I find it hard to believe even half of 15,000 people were there. Very hard to believe. Warren wants to know how many season tickets sold. I have no idea. Someone from the A-State side of things, maybe Ben could tell you that. I don't know. Ben has said his dad has told him that it's only been sold out once in his lifetime, which is when they played Memphis, which is crazy because that's a local game, really, right? Like it's an hour plus away, maybe close to 2 at the most. It's not far at all. What's crazy is they had a nationally ranked, highly ranked Iowa State team come in earlier this year, right, TJ? We saw a play from there. You broke down the play from that game specifically. You can't sell that one out? I mean,
right.
These games don't happen often anymore. This is a ranked team coming to your house, and guess what? Arkansas State stood a good chance to win that game late. So
absolutely, they did.
Yeah. Neil saying App had 31,000 for a weeknight game. They didn't have 31,000. They announced 31,000. I was there. It was not a sellout or all that close. Again, tickets sold? Yes. Butts and seats? No. There was a lot of students on the hill. Give them a lot of credit for that. They started clearing out in the third quarter, even before the game was out of question because it went down towards the late part of the fourth. Great student turnout to start with, but didn't get the vast majority of them to stay throughout the entire game, which is going to happen. It's cold. Game wasn't really all that entertaining for most of it. So it's hard. Yeah. Neil says seats sold for sure. I do think they sold 31,000 seats because I would say 20 something were full for sure.
Yeah.
That's the difference, right? But App has a couple more seasons like this. It's probably going to start looking like Arkansas. I hope not, but let's not say it couldn't happen to some of our other teams, right? I don't know.
Absolutely.
All right, we're getting long-winded here, so let's go to the games of the week, and we know we have one on Thursday night. And guess what? Games of the week, it's turning into game of the week. We don't have a ton of amazing matchups as far as like rivalries and intensity go. This is a good one to start with because there's absolutely zero history between the two programs. Troy travels to Norfolk or Norfolk, if you locals say it, to take on ODU Thursday, ESPN, not ESPN2, not ESPNU. This is an ESPN game Thursday at 7:30, 6:30 Central. If you still have YouTube TV, maybe find another way to watch this one. I've got a way around it now. I think TJ's also subscribed to something else different.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we've got to see what can transpire between its two teams who just don't have any history at all. We'll get to our betting odds here. Just quick thoughts before that. TJ, you expect a team to take this one easily? Think it's going to be a game?
I think it's going to be a pretty good game. I do think I'm leaning more towards ODU. They're playing in Norfolk. I think that gives them a decided advantage from a travel perspective, sleeping in your own bed perspective. All those things matter when you go away. So for me, I think ODU. Now ODU is going to have to come to play because Troy, they're starting to look better, right? Troy's gotten a lot better as the season's gone on. So we've got to give them their respect. But I think ODU takes it.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I just think, ODU coming off that bye, they're going to be ready to play at home. As Ben said, SportsCenter is going to be live from campus for those that care or aren't working but can tune in about, I think it's like 2:30 Eastern time. So 1:30 Central, I believe is kind of the time frame they usually go live from campus. They've done that at Georgia State. They've done it at Coastal last season. So it's always cool when they do stuff like that around campus. I think ODU fans and specifically students will show up to be there for that portion specifically. We definitely see this week as a big rivalry for JMU and App State because they always deliver, hoping it delivers a blowout, but I'm not counting on it. That's our resident JMU fan. G. Will saying, come on. So hopefully he's excited that we picked ODU to be the game of the week, or maybe he's saying, come on, he thinks they're going to win rather easily. Maybe both.
Yeah.
Warren has got an out. He thinks Goose will be playing part of the game, which is interesting. And it could be time for Goose if he's ready to come back because of how Troy played last week. Maybe that works out because you don't want to take Tucker out while he was performing as he was. But then the downside, not last week, sorry, 2 weeks ago, they didn't have a game last week. So both these teams coming off bye. That's why they're playing the Thursday night game. But Artie saying, speaking of viewing options, ESPN Plus is horrible now. So many fewer games to watch after the launch of ESPNU. Getting expensive to watch games now. Yeah, ESPNU Unlimited, different from ESPNU specifically. But yes, I just hate and TJ and I have talked about this. Like jumping around is not easy like it is on YouTube.
It's they don't give you the multi-view option. It's not fun. And maybe they'll fix it, right? Like I think if they get enough subscribers.
True.
They'll have that complaint because YouTube TV had that option. And I think it's easy, right, for their tech team to put that in to make that an option. I just think it was an oversight. So I think they'll come back and fix it. I hope they do anyway.
Yeah, I almost want to they have some multi-view options. And I think I even saw one that had 4 today, which was the first time I think I've really noticed that was an option. However, here's what I want. Right. I don't want to leave the game I'm on, right? Like in YouTube TV, you could bring up a menu and kind of look and see what else was on as the game. And then if it wasn't something enticing or whatever, you could just back out of the menu. You're still at your game. It's not waiting for the screen to load up, right? I want that on ESPN. I want to be able to see everything that I want to search for with like a smaller bar, and then I can still watch what I'm watching, right? Or even better is like have that score thing, at the bottom. Which they don't typically run, right? Unless it's one of those ones that simulcast to a bigger screen, like ESPN main platform or something. But yeah, I like to see stuff like that so we can keep track of stuff without having to like have multiple devices every time. But we'll see. G. Will says, Artie, you're watching the Pay Texas State games? I'd get your money back.
That's crazy. Shots fired.
Shots fired for sure. And he's got no repercussion because they're going to be gone next year. So you don't even get a chance. So we'll see. You better win. So do it, lady. These are the teams that better win on Saturday because the rest of the games are all on Saturday. I'm going to say this, TJ, I'll go through who I put this on to you better win. There's multiple reasons why you could say, but I'm going to say Marshall better win over Georgia State. At this point, you're expected to win a game like that. JMU better win over App State, right? You got now not only a shot at the Sun Belt, you got a shot at the CFP. You better win that game. And then Southern Miss, right? You're playing a Texas State team that is 0-5 in conference, got some suspensions from this fight. Like, you better win that game. Is there any of those, one maybe that you think could any of these be close games? Or do you think, I'm wrong in any of those assessments of teams that should be expected to win and probably win rather easily?
Yeah, for me, you're spot on. I was thinking the same thing. JMU absolutely has to win. There's postseason, for lack of better terms, relies on it, right? They've got to win this game. I think Marshall, for me, I don't know if it's a gotta win. It is in the sense of what does the postseason look like in terms of bowl games, but for me, it's not as big. I think it's more of an embarrassing loss if they lose to Georgia State than it is anything else. But Mississippi, I also think that they better win. Again, bowl seeding. So I'm with you. I'm with you 100%.
Well, and Southern Miss really has to win as well because they still have to play Troy, and depending on what happens Thursday night with Troy, like they will have a shot to overtake Southern Miss, especially if Southern Miss has a loss to Texas State. And also, let's say this, like both for JMU and Southern Miss, these are not going to be easy games. Texas State, even though they've lost a couple in a row, they've been competitive in just about every single one of those games with the chance to win near the end. So, it's not. And the same thing with JMU. They've lost the last 2 seasons to App State. So could be very interesting. I do have a couple other notes on this. Marshall all-time matchup with Georgia State favors the Thundering Herd 2-1. Marshall did win the game last year in Huntington, so that should be mentioned there. With the App State JMU series, much longer. App State favored over in the overall series 14-5, but we know App State has won the last 2 games in this, so that's they have won in Harrisonburg, even when they shouldn't have a couple years ago. They won at home last year. It's kind of knocked James Madison down a bit. And the Southern Miss Texas State all-time series actually favors Texas State 3-2 over Southern Miss. Texas State taking the last 2, which, again, last year, obvious, because Southern Miss won only 1 game. So we do have to mention that there. And then the games that are kind of rounding out, don't necessarily expect one team to dominate or win, or I don't think a team has to win. So first up, 3:30 ESPN Plus. Again, all the games after Thursday, all on the ESPN Plus platform. None of them elevated to a main channel, which, again, if you don't have the YouTube TV, you'll at least get to see these on the Plus. But this one's going to be South Alabama and ULM. ULM and South Alabama have met 11 times previously. South Alabama has a 1-game edge, 6-5. South Alabama has won the last 3 straight. Do you expect any different this time around, TJ?
No, I think probably more of the same. I wouldn't bet my money on it, but probably more of the same, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, we know ULM's struggling right now, lost 5 in a row, so that's not easy. The only reason they weren't really on the come on, bro, this time around is because they didn't play last week to kind of have anything recent. They deserve to be on there with the streak.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, not great for them. And then the Georgia Southern Coastal Series, that one favors Georgia Southern all time 7-4, and Georgia Southern winning the last 2 in that one. We had that one weird thing a couple years ago where they were both like, they said it was like a dance battle. It was more of like jumping up and down on both sidelines, and the refs had to like, I don't know, quell that, whatever. It's like a rain game, a little bit of a delay, and they started trying to jaw at each other and then get each other hyped to get back into it. It was just kind of a weird thing. I wouldn't really call it a dance battle, but I guess that's kind of some type of description that's been shown or talked about before. I don't know. That one could be surprisingly good game-wise, right? Like, we know Boston, you've played there, TJ. Like, there's something about that where they're going to get up and be ready for this game. Coastal's been scoring a lot lately. Can they keep up the 40-point average, or 40-point plus average, really? Because they've over 40 points in 2 of those 3 games. So, I don't know. Any strong thoughts on that one, or would you kind of not touch that one too much?
Well, so I won't touch it a ton, but I will say this. I think Coastal's got a good shot at running the football. Georgia Southern's the worst run defense in the Sun Belt. So except when they play App State, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Worst rush defense in the league. So I think they've got a good chance to maybe gash them for a couple big runs. If that is in fact the case, play action is going to be a monster of a weapon for Coastal. So keep that in mind when you're watching the game. You're going to see them probably run a couple, maybe 4 or 5 runs in a row, maybe pick up a first down on 3rd and 3, and watch out for the play action pass.
Agreed. And yeah, Samari Collier, watch out for that man. You got a bad rush defense, and this quarterback is that big running through the line. If you're not spying him and have a game plan to stop him, he will take advantage. Yes, exactly. Sinag said, I would include Coastal in the just win or must win category, and for the overall strength of conference, need Coastal to win the next 2, which the next 2 for
Fair
Coastal point is right here against Georgia Southern and on the road versus South Carolina. So do note that. I do want to give a shout out to South Carolina and a little bit to ourselves. The hard work put in not only on this podcast, but on the website. got us credentialed. We have a credentialed media member approved from an SEC team. So our little Sunbelt Syndicate growing a little bit, and the SEC saw us and recognized us to put somebody in the booth for that game. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Congratulations to us. We'll give ourselves a nice little pat on the back.
Yeah, and hopefully we can go onwards and upwards from here, because we'd love to do more of it. But we also, have some guys that are writing for us on the website. Be sure to keep checking that out. Does us some favors to keep growing. And when those guys that are writing those articles, and girls, or you have a couple girls too, they see those view counts go up, it makes them want to do more. So if you got your team on there, give that article a check, and keep coming back to the website, bookmark it or something. Just check it out every once in a while. Always trying to do some fun stuff with that. We've got somebody working on a really cool feature right now that I don't know exactly when it's going to be finished, but I'm excited to read once it's out. And I'll definitely push it all over socials when we do that. And he wasn't even sure that they had South Carolina. So he's saying that's kind of crazy that if they would do that. Now, South Carolina is nothing to talk about much this
I was
year,
getting ready to say, it wouldn't be
an SEC team.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be far beyond the pale to imagine them beating South Carolina. I mean, I know a team in black and gold that did it a couple years back. Not to toot anybody's horn, but beat. So it's doable. And, outside of Lenore Sellers, they don't really have a whole lot going on.
No, they definitely do not. Okay. We put a number of bets on this week, TJ. I'm proud of it. We're getting a little. There's also more games, right? The last couple of weeks we've had less games to really bet on, because we've had a couple early season or early week games, and then just not as many in the rest of the conference slate. But we got a pretty heavy one this week. That first one there, tell us about that, TJ. You're taking Troy against the spread in the ODU game. The spread favoring ODU 11.5 points. You just think that's kind of high, I guess.
Yeah, that's too many points. 12 points is too much. They're not going to beat ODU's not going to beat Troy by 12. Even I give them the edge being at home. I'm saying maybe 7, maybe 10. 10 is even stretching it. I'm thinking more along the lines of 7 or 3 in terms of what the spread should and would be. 11 point. Well, in this case, 12 points just seems like too much.
Yeah, I don't totally disagree, but at the same time, coming off a bye week for both teams, it's just like there's nothing real recent for me to lean heavily on, and I wouldn't be surprised by anything. We've seen ODU like turn on the offense. If Goose comes back and Troy's, you go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just going to say, but see, that's the issue for me is coming off a bye week can have a negative effect as well, too, right? Like it's sometimes hard to kind of get your footing back, right? When you've had a week off. Now, again, a lot of that's coaching. How are you preparing your guys? I've been a part of teams that have had bye weeks, and there's really been no difference. I've also been a part of some teams where bye week we got lazy, right? And you see teams that get a little bit lazy. So I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I'm saying that when it's gone that long without hitting somebody, getting hit in the mouth hurts. And I think if Troy can do that, this spread won't be. I don't think it'll even be close to 12 points.
Okay. I can respect it. And since you play the game, I'll lean more heavily on you. One we both agree on follows that with the Herd going down to Atlanta to play Georgia State. The Herd only favored to me by 7.5 points, but we both agree that the Herd covered that spread versus the Panthers, right? Yeah.
I don't think, I think my son's flag football team can go down in Atlanta and at least put a touchdown on them. I don't think Marshall's going to have much of a problem scoring points.
Yeah, and I feel like the James Madison game just this past week is proof in that, right? Like JMU's defense is no joke, and Marshall was able to run the ball over them pretty well. I don't think Georgia State's defense is anywhere near as good. What is interesting, though, when Georgia State and JMU met up, it was a 14-7 game. So if you're looking at it from that lens, maybe. But yeah, I would favor Marshall to cover that spread. I am taking App against the spread because JMU is favored by 20.5 points. This is a game I will be at personally with my father and son. So this is one I'm excited about, and I hope to see a game closer to 20.5 points. Here's why I'm taking this, right? Could JMU win in a blowout? Of course, they could. But App State, even though they've lost their last 3 games, they've lost those last 3 games by a combined score. That's throughout all 3 games, a combined score of only 13 points. And you're going to tell me that JMU is going to come in here and beat them by more than 20. I find that hard to believe, given recent history, the success App State has had. Yes, it's a different team, but 20 and a half is a lot. So I'm going to say App can cover that spread. Not saying they win, but I think they could cover that spread. But TJ, you're taking the over of 54.5 points. So what makes you think that's a good decision there?
Yeah, I mean, because if you think about it, it's, I do think JMU is going to win. I think JMU puts close to 40 up, but I also think App's going to score probably 25 to 30 points as well. So I'm with you. 20 points is, or in this case, 21 points, way too many. It's not happening. And I should have taken App against the spread. But I'm leaning more on the over. I think JMU's good, and they're a good football team. App has had flashes of being good on offense, but not good on defense. Not good on defense, and that's okay. And that's why JMU's going to drop 40 on us, because we're not good on defense. But I also think we have the capability to score 25 to 30 points against really anybody if we can score in the red zone. And I think that might happen, and I think we give JMU a good fight every single time. And I think we know, right, that we kind of crapped the bed a little bit against Georgia Southern. Don't let our other rival beat us. So, or if they do, not by 100.
Right. Yeah. At least make it respectable. Yeah. Also, to note is App State's one of those teams that's fighting to try and get into a bowl game, and this would obviously go towards doing that. It's not complete. Still got to win another one after that. But we'll see. Neil said, Knox is a JMU fan saying, and the spread is easy money. So, he thinks that Neil's saying total disrespect. And I kind of agree. Like, to me, with the history and the fact App's played close games, I'm not sure where Vegas is getting 20.5 points. I'm jumping all over that. Partly because I want to see a game when I'm there. I'm traveling a couple hours away. I'd like to see a hell of a football game, please. But, we'll see what happens there. You did not touch this next one between South Alabama, ULM. I felt comfortable enough to say South Alabama would win. I think that's the prediction we got from you earlier. But I do think the Jags play well, cover the 4.5 point spread. But it's on the road in Monroe. So why did you maybe not touch this one?
Because anything could happen. Absolutely anything could happen. USA has shown me nothing credible anyway that proves to me that they will go in there and get an easy win. I don't believe in them at all. So I wouldn't bet any money on this game. Either one of these teams could come away winning it. So I didn't touch it at all, because it could be a case where ULM all of a sudden finds out who they are and come in and win. And also it could be a case where USA just absolutely craps the bed, because they've done it. We've watched it. True. We've seen it. So who knows?
Yeah, it's kind of funny that, some of those people that are talking in the background about CFP stuff, one of them's North Texas, and they're talking about how great they are and everything. I'm like, we watched the game with South Alabama, guys, and South Alabama was, an onside kick recovery away from making that one hell of a finish that you would have to overcome. And guess what? South Alabama ain't our best team. So you North Texas fans want to come around and talk about CFP. Like, let's pump the brakes a little bit here.
Yeah, slow it down.
And that's not disrespect to South Alabama. That's saying, a team that's not at the top of this conference was competing with the team that's at the top of yours. That's how good the Sun Belt is, right? That's
like,
what I'm
take
saying.
It easy. JMU would beat you like a drum.
There you go. Exactly. Oh man. And TJ, such a GSU hater. Good luck with that.
I don't hate. Well, listen. I assume he's saying Georgia State.
You got to be a hater of GSU.
Is he saying Georgia State or Georgia Southern?
That's a good question. I'm typically Georgia Southern people do not go with the GSU moniker, from what I've seen on Twitter and everything. In fact, the Twitter handles for Georgia State are the ones that use the GSU abbreviation.
So if he's talking about Georgia State, I'm not a hater. I just see what I see with my eyeballs, Sam. Like, this isn't, I'm not making this up. Like, it's terrible football in Atlanta, and they don't recruit their areas well. They don't recruit Atlanta at all. they don't recruit anything in South Georgia. They don't. It's like I don't even know where these guys are from. Half the time that are playing on. I'm not a hater. I'm calling it as I see it. They're not a good football team. The Browns aren't a good football team either. Am I hating on them?
Right.
They suck. You know what I'm saying? So like, what are we doing? What are we doing, my guy? Listen, I'm not a hater. I just know a little bit about football, and I know that Georgia Southern does not do that thing well. Or excuse me, Georgia State does not do that thing well.
Not a hater. You just crush a lot. That's a player. I know it's not the same. I just have
I do like the reference.
Yeah. Pause. Right. That's what the kids say on that. But Syndicate saying if JMU covers 20.5 over even a bad app team, they will be CFP ranked. I'll be more than happy for a 10-point win that allows for a few minutes late to savor it. So we'll see what Neil says. Don't grab your helmets, fellas. We lost you on the video aspect there, TJ.
I was gonna say, can you not see me? What's happening here?
I can't see you, but we can hear you. So let's just continue on. If it comes back, it does. Don't want to upset the apple cart too much.
Yeah, that shouldn't be any issues. Anyway, go ahead.
But no, yeah, we both have a bet on this next game, and they're different. So we've got Texas State, Southern Miss. You are taking the over of 66.5 points. I think I know why. But you're betting on that. I'm taking Southern Miss to cover the 4.5 points. That was a little bit tentative, to be totally honest. But 66.5 points. You think that's the highest total of the weekend, but you think they exceed that?
Yeah, I think Texas State has shown that they can score, right? Like they're not lacking in terms of offense. They can't stop anybody. And because they can't stop anybody, it's going to come down to essentially who's going to get the ball last. Now, I will say this, USM is light years ahead of Texas State in terms of being better, right? Like they're just a better football team. So could they score 45, 50? Absolutely. But could Texas State also score 20 or 30 points? Sure, they could. So could I see a 45 to 28 victory? 100%.
Makes sense. I like it. I get it. I think the reason I'm taking Southern Miss is Texas State has kind of come alive in the second halves a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if they've done that against a defense as good as Southern Miss. I think they've really stepped up, been really good against the offenses that they've played here recently. I'd like to see Southern Miss score more offensively to kind of, win more comfortably, especially, when that game against Arkansas State's a good example from last weekend. But I think that they could probably put Texas State away by more than 4.5. So that's why I'm taking that there. Chad says he agrees. So that's good because he's a resident Southern Miss fan. We got a lot of stuff coming up. So I'll mention it now that Chad is talking about that. Next week, we hope to have Chad on the show, do a little specialty bourbon episode, TJ. I know you probably be looking forward to that one.
Okay.
Yeah, we did it once for baseball. I'd like to do it for football. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that one. Not all the plans are finalized. Still kind of working through exactly what we'll do. But we'll definitely have some fun, definitely have some guests. Have a good time with that. Sam Talks Sports. TJ, what are you doing tomorrow night? And why is it joining Dom at the round table, which is a shameless plug for his show that we're going to be talking CFP. We're going to be talking top 25. We're going to be talking some G5 overall. Obviously mentioned a little bit of the Sun Belt because of JMU being in that conversation. So if you are available, Sam Talks Sports. I want to say that correctly. And it's going to be a fun show. He's going to have a lot of guests over there as well to kind of cover the full array of college football and get the vantage point of different people in different parts of the country as well. And these aren't a lot of people all over in the same spots. Sam's a big Boise State fan, so that gives you an aspect of stuff that we don't typically get to hear over here on the East Coast of football. So Southern Miss sometimes splats. Chad is looking forward to next week. And I myself have been invited to be a guest on the Lowdown on ESPN Southwest Louisiana tomorrow to talk some Sun Belt Championship contenders and some CFP. predictions or possibilities, obviously, again, with JMU being the first one listed there. So that is some stuff that's coming up, exciting. Be sure to check us out or join us over on random other platforms, okay, because they're all over the place a little bit, but one of them will certainly be right here again next Wednesday for you guys to take in. And we got one last game, TJ, that both of us agreed upon, actually. Georgia Southern, Coastal Carolina, this one in Statesboro, Georgia, favoring Georgia Southern with the spread of 2.5 with a total over under of 60.5, but we're going against the grain here. Well, I don't know. I don't even think it should be against the grain, but we're both favoring Coastal to win this thing outright, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking Coastal's gonna go in and take it. I think Coastal's a good football team. Coastal's been playing really, really well as of late. I mean, they're dropping 40 on people. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, as Kendrick Perkins would say, a 40-piece wing dinner, all flat. They are. It is getting bad. It's getting scary over there in Conway, man. And I'm telling you, their game travels, and the way that they play travels as well too. But
Yeah.
that said, they're also in South Georgia. It's decently mild weather there, so
Yeah,
keep that in mind when you're talking about the weather being a factor. I know the conditions will make sense, right? It's not that far of a travel for them. I think Coastal goes in, and I think they continue to streak. I don't know if they're going to put up 40 again, but I certainly think that they continue to streak of winning.
Yeah, I was surprised at how well Georgia Southern's defense performed against App State. Now, I don't think App State was the strongest they've been or anything, so there is something to say towards that. But yeah, you better not come to the field asleep at all against this Coastal offense, because you will be behind in a hurry, and it will be hard to catch up to this team. Them and App State went back and forth. Marshall struggled against Coastal on the Halloween night in that second half, couldn't hold on to the ball. They will make you pay for your mistakes. So definitely be on the lookout for what could happen in that one. Oh, and Sam, I thought this, so I'm glad he said it. It is Friday night, not Thursday night. So, enjoy your Thursday night football with Troy and ODU. Enjoy your Thursday night pro game, and then join us Friday night over on Sam Talk Sports. I'll be sure. I think I can share that through our platform as well. And if not, I'll definitely share the link out once we start doing that show, because that should be some fun stuff to take in later on Friday evening. I think it's going to be, the 9 o'clock time frame on the East Coast for us over here. Maybe we'll get TJ to jump on if he's not too busy. We'll see.
Yeah.
And then Sam saying that we can share it, so it may even go live from the Sunbelt Syndicate StreamYard account as well. So we'll have to see. Look, I'm going to put you back on, TJ, but you have just a black square where you used to be.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It says I'm in the show, and then I can see part of my screen, but in the other part, because my screen's black over here for me too. Like, I don't know what the heck.
Oh, really?
My other screen is fine, but my actual laptop screen is black. So I don't know what's happening. We'll figure it out and get things rolling for the next show.
Yeah, that's funny, man. Well, good news is you're crystal clear audio-wise, which is the most important thing of a podcast. So we still have your thoughts and opinions, which is what we really come here for. So it's not a bad thing. We can say we have faces made for radio now, since you can't see it. Sam says click the camera button. I'm sure you tried that, right?
Yep. Done that a couple different times.
It's trying to do something because it puts up that little thing on there, but we'll have to see what we could get done. But Warren says, go Trojans. All the Sun Belt needs to be watching. Absolutely. Again, I don't care if you watch the game or not. If you're like an average fan that's not a fan of these two teams with Troy and ODU, let your screen run in the background. Get those viewership numbers up for Sun Belt content, because that's what helps gets us paid on our next media rights deal. I know it seems kind of silly, but I'm serious when I say that. Same thing with our show. There's people that watch the YouTube link that we do this on, but they don't actually watch. They just listen. That's still great. That's, I don't care. It's a podcast. It should be able to be taken in visually or audio wise. And so, hey, however it works, we'll take it. One note before we leave out of here, and TJ, I'll ask you if you've got anything you want to say before we leave the people, but double overtime, Marshall and West Virginia tied at 2 in soccer right now. UCF did take down number 1 seed Kentucky. So Marshall has a chance to host next week if they can overcome West Virginia in this overtime in soccer. So we'll have to see. Sam's asking you if you put it in rice. Oh, that's good.
That was good. That was good.
Those are the old flip phone days, TJ, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
That's good stuff.
Oh, man. Sam's going to start watching on YouTube instead of Facebook for your monetization efforts. Actually, what's funny is we got monetized on Facebook. We aren't monetized on YouTube, and we're not even close because the followers are so far off. We'll work on that. We got some stuff we're thinking about trying to get done in that regard. But TJ, since we can't see you, is there anything you'd like to say before we get out of here?
No, man. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. Obviously, we always love coming to you on these Wednesdays to talk some sports and talk maybe some trash a little bit. And yeah, I appreciate you guys being around.
Yeah, I do as well. For those of you that are listening or taking this in that are JMU fans, I think the hope is to meet up with one or both of the two JMU podcasts that I listen to the most. I know there's a new one called JMU to the House, which I also really like too. They got a former player and Bad Lee, who used to play for JMU, and I think the announcer, color guy, or analyst for JMU football when it's on ESPN Plus and everything. Anyway, they do a great job. I haven't been in contact with them, but I have been in touch with JMU Sound Off and JMU Sports Blog. So we'll see if I can get up with one or both of those groups while we're out there. And we'll see if we can say hi to some of you JMU fans. And as we get out of here, I agree with what Sam says. Have a good night, and hopefully we will see you guys on Friday or Thursday on the radio. And until next week, Wednesday, we'll see you here for a bourbon episode. Don't miss it. See y'all later.